"Who is he, Alexander?" Sophia Kane whispered, her heart shattering as she stared at the photograph of her husband entwined with a stranger in a Beverly Hills hotel. In the lavish Santa Monica penthouse, the city lights reflected the anguish in her eyes. 6 months pregnant. Sophia clutched the divorce papers tightly. The sting of betrayal cut into her like a razor. Alexander, the tech billionaire admired throughout Los Angeles, had become a complete stranger. Would Sophia find the strength to weather this storm? Or would this dark secret drown her dreams forever? All right. Before you settle in, take a sec to like the video and subscribe, but only if you're genuinely vibing with what I'm putting out here. And drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always a thrill to see who's joining us from all corners of the globe. Alexander Kane was always the center of attention whenever he appeared on the red carpet at world-class technology events. With his handsome features, piercing gaze, and confident smile, he captured the hearts of countless women and astonished investors alike. Every morning, Alexander's phone rang incessantly. Congratulations from European partners. Strategy meetings with the product development team at the New York headquarters, and emails from venture capital funds offering to pour tens of millions more into his billion-dollar startup. Those business achievements landed Alexander on magazine covers, beside images of his pristine white villa perched on the Malibu cliffs, its infinity pool overlooking the Pacific Ocean, a symbol of power and wealth. While Alexander conquered the world with ambition and intellect, Sophia Kane won hearts through her warmth and generosity. Born in a small riverside town in Oregon where weathered wooden houses and scarlet maple trees mingled with mist, she experienced a simple childhood steeped in neighborly kindness. As a high school student, Sophia and her mother volunteered in programs helping underprivileged children, delivering loaves of bread and strawberries from their garden to raise funds for a local school. It was that passionate heart that carried her to the prestigious halls of Stanford University, and later to a career as a development specialist for numerous California-based nonprofit organizations. They first met at an elite Hollywood fundraiser. Alexander arrived in a shimmering black tuxedo, holding a flute of rare champagne, while Sophia appeared in a pastel pink evening gown, with her hair swept into a rose-scented chignon. One shared glance quieted the crowd, leaving only the beating hearts of two people from seemingly unrelated worlds. Alexander was captivated by her talk of building a clean food distribution system for impoverished communities, while Sophia admired his far-reaching vision as he described a smart city project to optimize green energy. Their conversation ran late into the night, kindling a romance celebrated as a fairy tale among the ultra-wealthy. From that moment, Sophia believed Alexander was the destiny she had long awaited, an extraordinary man, strong enough to protect her, and refined enough to truly listen. To Alexander, Sophia became his solace amid cutthroat ambition. Each time he returned to the Malibu villa, he eagerly anticipated her gentle smile greeting him, her small hand offering his warm coffee, and her quiet encouragement before every critical decision. Together, they founded the Kane Foundation, hosted lavish charity galas at their Los Feliz estate, and liked each other's Channel Islands getaway photos on social media. Every moment seemed steeped in happiness. The glittering lights of Hollywood Hills, laughter aboard a Santa Barbara yacht, and flawless magazine spreads that set style trends. Yet beneath the glamour and polished veneer of fame, the first cracks began to show. Alexander spent day and night driving company expansion, rarely arriving on time for dates and missing key meetings of the Kane Foundation, organized by Sophia. A hollow feeling crept into her heart. She wondered whether he truly cared about her simple dreams anymore. Their romantic dinners devolved into cold discussions about revenue, and Sophia's warm smile felt more like something she waited to share than something actually shared. Conversely, Alexander felt the weight of expectation. Sophia's hopeful gaze became a silent scale weighing his every success and failure. Each delayed investment, each botched product launch gnawed at him, as though he had shattered her trust. Then, on a new moon night, the couple appeared at the annual Kane Foundation Gala, standing side by side, but further apart in spirit than ever. Flashbulbs popped relentlessly, Their smiles seemed forced. Sophia's eyes flickered with sadness, while Alexander bowed his head and sipped his wine without uttering a word. In that instant, both understood that to keep their love's flame alive, they would need to balance personal ambition with genuine affection. Under that dazzling spotlight, their true trial was only just beginning. Rumors in the tech world spread like an uncontrollable torrent. At first, they were only whispered at product launches. Alexander didn't arrive with Sophia this time. Then late-night texts began hitting his personal cell phone previously reserved only for Herzant from unknown numbers, and deleted as soon as Sophia opened them. A few employees even caught a trace of perfume on his blazer. Not the lavender she wore, but an expensive, unfamiliar oil he himself could not explain. Sophia first heard these rumors through friends in the charity circuit, in emails from colleagues, and even in the Kane Foundation group chat. At first, she tried to dismiss them like a passing breeze, forcing herself to stay calm. He's under immense work pressure. He's constantly hosting clients and meeting partners. Yet that pressure grew relentlessly, encroaching on the private space they once shared. She remembered the tender moments leaning against his shoulder on Venice Beach, watching the crimson sunset stretch across the tranquil sea, each last ray illuminating the bright future they had promised one another. Those vows spoken in the ocean breeze, those impassioned looks and soothing smiles, had once been enough to anchor her faith in his heart. Now, Sophia wondered whether this was mere baseless gossip or the first sign of an irreparable crack. She began replaying their shared time in slow motion, his rushed calls before scheduled dates, his flat replies when she asked about his day, the fleeting awkward glance whenever she mentioned a shared memory. Small, easy details became shards piercing her heart. The Monday morning he forgot to drive her to the charity event. The half-finished cup of coffee he quietly cleared away without a word. The photo from their yacht excursion he neglected to share as he always had. Never before had Sophia faltered under public scrutiny. Her confidence and love was evidenced by the foundation they built together, projects improving thousands of lives. But this time, doubt crept like a chill through every tender moment. At a lavish dinner in Saint-Tropez, she watched him devour dessert without meeting her longing gaze. Aboard their yacht, he clutched his phone all evening, scrolling messages without pause. Sophia told herself she could not let emotion cloud her judgment. She retreated to her family library, opened the journals of their memories, and reread every promise he had made through triumphs and trials, those heartfelt words she had carried through the years of building the Kane Foundation. She recalled him kneeling on the shore, slipping a ring on her finger with hopeful eyes, and whispering, "With you, I will learn to balance my passion for technology with my duty to love." Yet the question lingered, is he still the man I once loved? Standing before her mirror, Sophia examined her composed expression. She asked herself, is true love about unwavering trust, even when rumors swirl? Or must love demand clarity and transparency, so that every promise rings genuine rather than hollow? On a drizzly afternoon in Los Angeles, beneath the pale yellow streetlights, Sophia decided she would confront him. She refused to remain silent. Instead, she waited for him to return to their Malibu villa that evening. At the front door, she glimpsed his silhouette through the glass hood pulled up, coat still faintly scented with that strange perfume. Her heart tightened. Part of her ached to run into his arms. Another part yearned for an explanation. When he finally opened the door, her gaze was gentle yet resolute. Sophia drew a long breath, her voice soft but unyielding. "Alexander, there are rumors about you late night texts, that unfamiliar scent on your coat, those silent moments between us. Can you tell me the truth?" The living room lights dimmed, and her words hung in the charged air between them. Under the Los Angeles night sky, Sophia and Alexander stood facing themselves and the love they had once believed unbreakable. Now, there was no room for vague suspicion. Only a choice remained: confront and rebuild trust, or let distance bred by doubt dissolve their love forever. That morning, Sophia's phone began buzzing incessantly, shattering the tranquil light that filled her penthouse with dawn's glow. She stared at the screen, heart heavy, as her closest friend's name flashed alongside a brief message that fractured her world. "I just saw Alexander at the Ritz-Carlton with another woman." Each word felt like a surgeon's blade plunged into her chest, and she froze, unable to speak. Time seemed to pause. Only a soft echo rang in her mind. How could he do this to us? In the vast living room, the pale sunrise cast its reflection across the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the Pacific Ocean outside, like a shimmering tapestry. From her vantage point by the glass, Sophia watched the endless waves crest and break upon the sandy shore, proof, she once believed, that their love would endure as steadfastly as the tide. Behind her, the cream-colored sofa still bore the imprint of where Alexander had sat the night before, gently kissing her forehead as he whispered, "You are my entire world." Now, that memory felt cruelly distant, a hollow echo. Cradling her 6-month pregnant belly with one arm, Sophia felt each warm heartbeat of the child growing within her, their promised bond forged through every vow to weather life's storms. In her other hand, she gripped the freshly prepared divorce papers, their formal script stamped with her attorney's signature and a blank line awaiting Alexander's name, as if destiny had already paved this path. The words danced in her mind. Divorce. Her hand trembled. She leaned back against the cool wall, seeking support from the solidity of its surface to keep from collapsing. In that instant, the elevator bell chimed on the penthouse floor, a tolling knell for the sweet dreams they once shared. A requiem about to end. She listened, each ding drawing her heart tighter. For this was no mere mechanical sound, but the echo of Alexander's footsteps approaching. The moment fate demanded their truths be laid bare. Sophia inhaled deeply, tasting the ocean's briny air against her skin. She steeled herself, determined that tears would not stain her cheeks when he opened that glass door. She straightened her ash-gray silk robe and smoothed her sleek black hair, preparing for a painful performance that was anything but an act. She cast one last glance at the divorce decree, then folded it against her chest like the final autumn leaf clinging to a branch. The elevator doors slid open, bathing Alexander's face in warm golden light. He stepped forward in a perfectly tailored black suit, his hair impeccably styled. Yet in his eyes, Sophia recognized startled disbelief, as if he'd just awakened from a haunting dream. He paused, gaze drawn to her silhouette at the window's edge. Silence descended, thick and heavy as a velvet curtain across the room. Only the distant roar of waves persisted, steady and unwavering. Slowly, Sophia turned, each movement deliberately drawn out to give him time to brace himself. When their eyes met, she saw pain entwined with doubt etched across his handsome features. Alexander parted his lips, searching for words, but Sophia would not wait. She extended the divorce papers and held up her phone, displaying her friend's message. Her voice remained calm yet edged with steel. "Why were you there with that woman?" In that suspended moment, the outside world vanished. Only Sophia, with her pregnant belly, as testament to what they once shared, and Alexander, with his carefully concealed secrets laid bare, remained. The elevator doors closed, echoing a final whisper. Love standing at the brink of irrevocable choice. Two hearts poised between healing and irrevocable loss. Alexander gently turned the doorknob and stepped into the vast penthouse, his posture surprisingly disheveled. The black suit he wore was now rumpled, its shoulders sagging, creases crisscrossing the fabric like silent witnesses to a long, restless night. His footsteps echoed softly on the hardwood floor, yet an unfamiliar, heady perfume trailed behind him like a challenge to the stillness of the space. It was not the delicate lavender scent Sophia adored, but a lavishly strong aroma that made her cheeks flush each time she inhaled. Sophia stood in the center of the living room, her back pressed against the floor-to-ceiling glass wall. Daylight filtered through sheer curtains, illuminating her sleek black hair and the exhaustion etched on her face from nights spent tossing and turning. Her eyes were rimmed with red, her lips pressed together as if to hold an invisible pain. In her hand was a sheaf of divorce papers she had signed just hours ago, pristine pages bearing their names, legal clauses, and the blank line awaiting Alexander's signature. She had discovered the documents, neatly placed on her lawyer's desk, immediately upon returning home, a stark proof that nothing could be undone. He halted, his uneasy gaze sweeping across the room in search of her eyes. In that moment, Alexander seemed smaller than ever, a child suddenly realizing a game had spun beyond his control. He swallowed, attempting to mask his panic as a slanted beam of light struck his temple and danced across his cheek. "Sophia," his voice cracked, each syllable cutting deeper than the last. He tightened his lips, reached for words but could only release a ragged sigh. At that precise instant, Sophia took a deliberate step forward each movement, measured yet resolute, as though charting her own course. She lifted her arm and flung the divorce papers onto the glass coffee table that dominated the room's center. The documents landed with a harsh thud, resonating off the high walls. Alexander flinched, shock and remorse flashing across his face. As the papers slid to the floor, Sophia did not bend to retrieve them. She stared at them instead, as though they represented a fragmented soul she could never piece together. "It's over, Alexander." Her voice was soft but razor-sharp, slicing through his defenses. Those two words shattered the veil of sweet promises he had once cloaked around them. Alexander lowered his head, his shoulders slumping under the weight of a world's sorrow. He wanted to step back, to wrap her in his arms and explain, but his body felt frozen, immobile. He stammered, voice trembling. I swear it was just a mistake." The exotic perfume from his coat hung in the air, mingling with the ragged rhythm of his breath. Each word trembled like unshed tears on the verge of falling. "Mistake." Sophia repeated the word softly, though her heart churned with uncertainty. A mistake could be forgiven only if it were truly accidental, a clumsy misstep without intent. But the unfamiliar scent, the crumpled suit, these made it unmistakably clear. He had spent a night away from her. Sophia drew in a steadying breath, her back arching slightly as if bracing for the weight of her next words. "Don't lie to me anymore. I deserve respect." Her tone was ice, cold, utterly unwavering. The red in her eyes had dried, replaced by a fierce strength that left Alexander unsettled. She curved a small, ironic smile, as though mocking his weak apologies. "Respect isn't something you can beg for. It's something you must earn through your actions." The room grew stifling. Beyond the glass, the ocean's distant surf whispered against the shore. But inside, only the measured rise and fall of two hearts remained. The lingering perfume clung to the air, an indelible reminder of betrayal. The penthouse, once a gleaming testament to unconditional love, had become a silent witness to this suspended moment between two people who once believed in forever. Alexander moved forward, hand trembling as he reached out. But Sophia did not budge. He tried again, voice pleading, "Please, let me explain." Yet Sophia closed her eyes and turned, taking long strides toward the cream sofa. She sat down, maintaining her distance and discarding all semblance of reverence. This was her final declaration. Either he would return, beg forgiveness, and help mend the pieces, or he would stand by and watch as she closed this chapter of her life forever. In that charged stillness, both realized that love alone could not repair betrayal. The transparent glass walls, once erected to display their shared happiness and power, now served as a barrier, exposing the shattered fairy tale for all to see. Before them lay only one choice: face the consequences or watch their memories fade with the day's last light. Sophia sat silently in the gentle glow of late afternoon light, her thoughts drifting back to the first time she met Alexander Kane. It was a spring evening in San Francisco, when the city buzzed with laughter and music at a fundraiser for homeless children. She dressed in a jade green volunteer vest, a light scarf draped around her neck, and a warm, genuine smile guided guests between informational booths. Suddenly, the room fell utterly still as he stepped onto the stage. His impeccably tailored suit highlighted his tall, commanding presence. His hair was neatly styled, and his eyes shone with conviction. His voice rang out, brimming with faith. "We can change the world, with nothing more than a compassionate heart and decisive action." Every word, every cadence, captivated the audience, and Sophia's throat constricted with a mix of awe and unfamiliar thrill. When his speech concluded, she was unexpectedly tasked with escorting him through the side entrance. Alexander greeted her with a warm smile and shook her hand as though turning a fresh page, promising chapters of shared hope ahead. In the days that followed, they immersed themselves in grand ambitions. Mornings in Napa Valley became unforgettable memories, the two of them sitting together on a wooden balcony, gazing over lush rows of vines, breathing in the crisp air. She would brew a rich cup of Arabica coffee. He would cradle the mug, closing his eyes to savor its aroma. They spoke of founding a digital skills academy for rural children, launching a reforestation project across desert landscapes, and even aspiring to be the nation's most celebrated philanthropic couple. Each plan began with, "We will," as if love and mutual trust were the very fuel driving every endeavor. Sophia felt invigorated each time his steady gaze rested on her, full of unwavering belief and respect. She was certain that this love would endure like the endless vineyard steadfast through sun and storm. Yet gradually, Alexander's ambition grew ravenous. News of new tech deals consumed him day and night, and their all-day coffee dates became distant memories. He started traveling late, missing key meetings of her charity foundation. Sophia noticed him inhaling a heady, unfamiliar perfumine aroma that wasn't part of their shared collection, and she caught snippets of hushed phone calls behind the glass walls of boardrooms. She told herself it was just a challenging phase, the pressure of a rising CEO. But when a message from her closest friend arrived, reporting that he'd been spotted in an indiscreet situation with another woman, her world tilted. She curled into herself, heart pounding, realizing that ambition, while a priceless asset, could also become a deadly temptation, capable of unraveling every good thing they had built. In despair, Sophia grabbed her phone and called Olivia Chen, her dearest friend and now a journalist in Pasadena. With a warm, steady voice, Olivia listened to every word. "You are stronger than you know," she comforted, punctuated by the soft hum of car horns outside Olivia's window. "The child growing inside you needs a home, but first, they need you to have peace of heart. Do what is best for your baby Evan if that means putting yourself first." Sophia felt the lump in her throat loosen, buoyed by Olivia's reminder of her own worth. Olivia affirmed her right to respect and authentic love, insisting that no one should trade a mother and child's happiness for empty temptations. Sophia's story was no longer just her own romance. It had become a journey to protect two lives illuminated by true love and unwavering courage. When the call ended, she drew a deep breath, steeling herself for the next step. A resolute stride guided by reason and boundless love for the child she would soon hold. Dear audience, grab a glass of water, take a moment to relax, and keep listening to the story. The twists are still to come. And please drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always a joy to see who's joining us from around the world. Drop a 1 in the comments if you find this story gripping, so we can keep bringing you more captivating tales. Alexander drew a slow, steady breath, his eyes tracing the glittering stream of cars on the Sunset Boulevard, like an artificial galaxy. Beyond the towering penthouse windows, the city's lights and the surge of humanity formed a vivid tableau yet within him. A tempest of emotions roiled, regret, shame, and an aching nostalgia. Each traffic light, shifting from red to yellow to green, seemed to admonish him for his missteps. Endless nights of parties, champagne flutes raised in paparazzi flashes, and the seductive whispers of unfamiliar admirers. At the time, he had convinced himself these were harmless diversions, incapable of damaging the steadfast love he shared with Sophia. Now, he understood that those fleeting moments had cost him not only her trust, but also the future they had envisioned together. The city lights reflected off his once pristine, perfectly tailored black suit, now creased at the shoulders, accentuating his sense of alienation within the trappings of power. A lingering trace of unfamiliar perfume clung to him, a cruel reminder that those temptations were far from innocuous. He approached the glass wall, pressing a trembling hand against the cold surface, searching the mirrored reflection for a glimpse of Sophia. But only his own silhouette stared back, tall yet burdened, magnificent, yet lost. Memories of their early days together surged through him. He recalled the sunrise they watched on Venice Beach, waves whispering at their feet as she rested her head on his shoulder and shared her dream of co-founding the Kane Foundation, a sanctuary for compassionate hearts. He had vowed, "I will never let anything come between us." Now, that promise sounded like an echo from a distant past. Bewildered, Alexander wondered what had driven him away from the simple happiness she brought, tempting him toward the fleeting glory of a glittering stage. A soft click behind him snapped him back to reality. Sophia stood in the doorway's lender, draped in an ash-gray trench coat, her hair loose in the breeze. In her hand she clutched a small rolling suitcase, its wheels whispering across the hardwood floor. Her eyes were red-rimmed, yet she shed no tears. Instead, her stance radiated determination, pride tinged with pain. He recoiled, his heart knotting. "Sophia." His voice sounded hollow in the hushed room. "Please, give me another chance." She paused, turning to face him with a look that made him flinch. Sophia inhaled deeply, her delicate yet resolute hand gripping the suitcase handle. "You've already had your chance, Alexander," she said, her voice trembling ever so slightly but unwavering. "A chance to prove that love isn't something to be tossed back and forth like a champagne flute. A chance to keep your promise, to bring our child into a warm, stable home." Outside, dawn's first light began to filter in. Yet within the penthouse, everything felt hazy-like. Shattered dreams lingering in the air. Alexander clutched the lapel of his jacket, taking a tentative step closer, reaching for her hand. "I was wrong," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "I didn't know what I needed until I lost it. You and our child mean everything to me. Please let me make it right." But Sophia gently withdrew her hand, her gaze drifting to the window, where the city lights hustled onward, day and night. "An apology can't undo the nights you left me waiting. Can't erase the look in my eyes when you walked out with another woman." She hesitated, swallowing the flood of emotion, then continued in a calm, low tone. "True love is never founded on deceit and temptation. If you truly understood our worth, you would never have let things go this far." Silence enveloped them so complete that even the suitcase's soft roll echoed across the room. Alexander stood frozen, his heart fracturing at the image of the woman he once vowed to cherish now turning away from his life. He wanted to shout, to plead, to beg, yet his voice faltered in his throat. Sophia, meanwhile, turned her back and took quiet steps toward the elevator, refusing to look back. One by one, the suitcase's wheels faded into the distance, then ceased altogether. The doors closed with a soft click, leaving Alexander alone in the cold expanse of the penthouse, vast and empty as his own heart. From below, the city's ceaseless hum whispered a merciless truth. Mistakes cannot be undone. Only the aching silence and relentless regret remain. He bowed his head, studying a sliver of light across the hardwood floor, silently vowing that if given another chance, he would never place ambition above love. But in that moment, his pleas were nothing but a fleeting breeze through the skyscraper, a breath too weak to reclaim what was lost. Sophia drove along the tranquil coastal road to the office of attorney Isabella Torres in downtown San Diego, her heart brimming with resolve. Isabella, a poised woman in a tailored gray suit, sharp-eyed and comforting in her smile, was renowned as the region's leading divorce specialist, the one who had helped countless women reclaim their rights. As Sophia entered the warm, golden-lit waiting room lined with shelves of legal volumes, she felt a first flicker of relief. At last, she was not alone. After a brief introduction, Isabella placed a reassuring hand on the divorce petition Sophia held and spoke in a soft yet authoritative tone. "We will secure the best possible outcome for you. From dividing your shared assets, including the Malibu Velato, ensuring primary custody of your child. This is not merely a legal procedure. It is the protection of your and your baby's future." Sophia felt her heart warm, her fears about finances and the safety of her child easing. Isabella then outlined the details. Equitable distribution based on contributions, monthly support payments, and safeguards for the ideal environment in which the baby would be raised, all clearly defined under California law. Each of Isabella's words laid a solid brick in the protective wall, shielding Sophia from the emotional storm and outside whispers. Less than a month later, Sophia moved into a modest apartment on a quiet Santa Cruz street, where red-tiled roofs stood in dappled shade beneath eucalyptus trees. Though humble, the home felt cozy, with a balcony overlooking a deserted beach, where the waves whispered lullabies each evening. Inside, she arranged a charming single bed beside a few hardy succulent symbols of resilient life, and a bookcase filled with journals, psychology texts, and parenting guides. Everything was simple and purposeful, reflecting her determination to start anew. In those early days, Sophia wrestled with loneliness. She woke daily at dawn, threw open the windows to breathe the sea's briny air, then brewed a warm cup of ginger tea to savor by the sill while studying legal documents Isabella had provided. As the ocean breeze wafted through, she thought of her ex-husband, the former penthouse life, and the wound that bled fresh when she remembered him. Yet she reminded herself, "This is life for my child and me, and I must be strong." She learned to cook for one, handle her laundry, and gradually find joy in simple pleasures. The lullaby of the surf, sunsets that painted the sky golden, and the aroma of coffee drifting from her morning ritual. Each night before sleep, Sophia placed her hand gently on her 6-month bump, drawing small circles on the taut skin. In the hush of the dimly lit room, she whispered into the stillness, "I will give you a full life, my dear. I promise I will be here to protect you with all that I have." Her voice trembled but carried fierce conviction. Those whispered words became her prayer, etching her commitment. Whatever storms may come, she would be a steadfast harbor for the child she would soon hold. Still, memories of Alexander remained vivid and haunting. She envisioned his hopeful gaze on their wedding day, the times he had whispered sweet promises into her ear at sunset, and his warm laughter echoing through the penthouse as they planned their future. She wondered, did she have the courage to relinquish those memories? Could she resist glancing back at the phantom of him that flickered through her mind each time she browsed baby names? She recalled his familiar cologne, the comforting warmth of his hand on her wrist, and the bitter disappointment of realizing those happy moments were a fragile veneer. Sometimes, on an afternoon walk, Sophia would tow her bicycle along the beach path, watching families stroll together, children's laughter, and parents' fond gazes warmed and pained her in equal measure. She told herself, "The baby in my womb will never lack love. I will be a resilient single mother, and together we will create our own happiness." She would pause, place a hand on her belly, and watch as the seaside breeze tousled her hair, a soft smile gracing her lips, the smile of a woman who had learned to live fully for herself and for her child. As night fell and the sea stilled, the distant city lights twinkling, Sophia closed her eyes and let her body relax into her pillow, welcoming dreams of the future. Though she still wrestled with letting go of Alexander's memory, she knew one thing with certainty. She would not allow the past to dictate her future. With Attorney Torres's guidance, her boundless love for her child, and an unbowed heart, Sophia was writing her next chapter, each day a story of strength, freedom, and a wholly new beginning. In the solemn atmosphere of the conference room at a prestigious downtown Los Angeles law firm, slanted white lights pierced the double-pane windows, creating an air both disciplined and austere. A large wooden table dominated the center of the room, piled with thick case files, pens poised for signatures, and 2 glasses of water waiting for the parties. On one side, Sophia sat perfectly upright, her slender frame clad in a light gray business suit, hands firmly planted on the table's edge. Determination shone in her eyes, unshaken even as her heart raced. Opposite her, Alexander, elegantly dressed, yet unable to conceal the fatigue etched by dark circles under his eyes, exhaled softly, regarding his ex-wife with remorseful, anxious eyes. Between them, the mediator deftly opened the session in a calm yet decisive tone. "We are here to finalize temporary terms regarding custody, support, and housing until the final decree is issued." Sophia nodded once, then presented the meticulously drafted list of her demands. "First, I request primary custody of our child. A stable environment is essential, especially in those early years. Next, I seek generous child support from Alexander, sufficient to cover living expenses, medical care, and education for at least the next 2 years. Finally, I ask to retain the downtown penthouse for 1 year to ensure our child's stability, while I secure a suitable new home." Each word from Sophia rang clear and precise, like a finely cut diamond, void of hesitation. The room fell so silent that the tap of a pen against a glass seemed to echo through the high-ceiling space. Alexander closed his eyes momentarily, as if stifling the pain in his chest. When he reopened them, his refined voice remained courteous. "I am pained to negotiate in this way, but I understand its importance to Sophia and our child. I agree to the primary custody and support arrangements. Regarding the penthouse, I will transfer its use to you for 1 year, covering all maintenance, taxes, and utilities. In return, I request visitation rights at least twice a week and during all summer breaks. He bowed his head, underscoring that this was not an empty promise, but a responsibility he was prepared to fulfill. The mediator offered an encouraging smile and recorded each provision, passing the document back and forth for review. The temporary agreement was signed on the spot, stamped with the firm's red seal, establishing clear legal boundaries for both parties. In that moment, Sophia set her pen down, her hand trembling slightly as she relinquished the freshly signed page. She pressed her lips together, striving for composure, her gaze never leaving the confirmed agreement. Though the process concluded swiftly, each heartbeat felt prolonged, carrying her toward a future where he would no longer stand beside her. Once the formalities were complete, both rose to their feet. Alexander stepped forward, his voice soft. "Thank you, Sophia, for your fairness. I hope we can raise our child together in mutual respect." Sophia merely nodded in silence, her eyes fixed on him, heavy with thought. As he exited the room, his footsteps resonated against the cold tile floor, leaving behind an atmosphere of emptiness. Sophia remained, watching his slender form fade down the corridor. She noted the deep circles beneath his eyes, the marks of sleepless nights, remorse, and regret. In the ensuing stillness, broken only by a whisper of wind through the door's crack, Sophia murmured to herself, "I cannot forgive. Not yet." This was not a declaration of bitterness, but a firm assertion of her final boundary, one that even a once sacred love could not erase. Then, she turned and walked out of the conference room, carrying with her newfound resolve the mantle of motherhood and decisions that could not be undone. Beneath the looming skyscrapers of Los Angeles, Sophia embarked on her own journey, each step guided by reason, unwavering love for her child, and the desire to build a genuine home in which he would no longer play a part. The dawn light had only just begun to shimmer above the skyscrapers when Sophia arrived at the Los Angeles courthouse in an elegant business dress, her makeup subtle yet incapable of masking her steely resolve. From a distance, a cadre of reporters surrounded her with raised cameras and microphones. The staccato of shutter clicks sounded like drums heralding a legal battle's end. Each step she took on, the cool marble steps rang out softly, her gaze unflinching and brimming with confidence, the image of a woman on the brink of breaking free from the chains of her former life. Murmurs and whispers swept through the crowd like an insistent breeze. "Mrs. Kane is getting divorced? I heard she's fighting for full custody. Look at her so composed." Yet Sophia did not glance back. She offered only a slight, knowing smile, as if to declare that today belonged to her and her child, not to them. Entering the grand foyer, the echo of her heels on stone mingled with the hushed chatter of other litigants, creating a scene both solemn and chaotic. Sophia drew in a deep breath, inhaling the mingled scents of oak paneling and stacked legal files in the hushed air. She scanned the benches until she found her seat beside her attorney directly across from the table where Alexander had sat countless times now, bearing his weary, remorseful face and the sharp under-eyes illuminated by fluorescent lights. The distance between them was enough for her to glimpse his regret, but not enough to pull her back to the past. The session began when the tall judge struck his gavel 3 times. The sharp clang sounded like the closing of one chapter of life. Counsel for each side then presented their points, reiterating the agreed terms: primary custody awarded to Sophia, monthly support sufficient to ensure the child's stable and educated upbringing, and the spacious penthouse to remain Sophia's residence, with Alexander covering its upkeep until she found a new home. Figures, clauses, and signatures were read in solemn Tonesno room for personal feeling. Sophia listened, each stipulation feeling like a brick restoring the foundation of her life solid, secure, and entirely within her control. When the judge nodded and struck the gavel once more, the divorce decree was pronounced. The dissolution of marriage between Miss Sophia Kane and Mr. Alexander Kane is granted under the terms stipulated. Henceforth, the parties bear no marital obligations to one another. Court is adjourned. The final gavel blow felt like emancipation, shattering the invisible shackles that had bound her to a fractured union. Sophia breathed in the clean rush of freedom, even as her heart constricted in quiet sorrow for the love lost, the gentle memories, and the wedding band that had once symbolized unwavering trust. She looked down at her bare finger where her wedding ring now rested in a small tin box removed before the proceedings began. Those shared moments selecting rings together, exchanging vows, founding the Kane Foundation suddenly felt distant, bittersweet echoes. Yet she reminded herself, trading the past for freedom was a sacrifice worth making. No longer Mrs. Kane, she was now a free woman, a single mother empowered to shape her and her child's future. As the hearing concluded, Sophia descended the courthouse steps, her stride as light as a bird taking flight. Reporters still clustered outside, eager for her comments. She paused, pivoted to face the cameras, and with unwavering eyes declared, "I am deeply grateful to the court for safeguarding our rights. I will continue to live for my child, building a warm, fulfilling family in my own way." Without looking back, she turned and walked through the grand entrance. Outside, Sophia inhaled deeply the fresh Los Angeles afternoon air. The sea breeze from Santa Monica carried salt and moisture, clearing the city's haze. Soft sunlight filtered through the leaves, illuminating her face. Though curious whispers trailed behind her, she seemed so composed, truly admirable. Sophia paid them no mind. In her heart resounded a single, powerful vow. No matter the challenges, my child and I will build a new, whole life together. And with that, she stepped forward more steadfast than ever along the path she would chart for her bright, self-authored future. Sophia set foot in Santa Cruz on a crisp dawn, her heart brimming with hope for a fresh start. She rented a small seaside cottage, painted in elegant white and turquoise hues echoing seagulls, and within her first week she opened the Light Center, a place for life skills workshops, emotional support, and job connections for single mothers. From the cushioned wooden chairs in the meeting room to the petite bookshelf lined with parenting guides, every detail had been lovingly arranged to offer these women the same hope and brightness suggested by the center's name. Before long, on a gentle autumn afternoon, the cries of newborn Aurora filled the city hospital. The name Aurora meaning dawn was Sophia's promise to her daughter. No matter how dark the night, daylight always follows. Cradling her baby in her arms, she marveled at Aurora's rosy, porcelain skin and whispered, "You are the light that guides me." From that moment on, Sophia realized her life was no longer her own journey alone, but a sacred duty to nurture a tiny soul. While Sophia threw herself into her charitable work and motherhood with unwavering courage, Alexander embarked on his own path of deep transformation. He abandoned his frivolous nights out and secret rendezvous, focusing each day on the 3 words, family first. Through therapy sessions and fatherhood workshops, he gradually understood the true value of steadfast love. Though he could only see his daughter during supervised visits, he honored every promise, arriving punctually, bringing Aurora's favorite gift, and devoting himself wholly to each delighted, gleeful cry of "Daddy." One weekend afternoon, sunlight streamed beneath the willow trees in the park by the Santa Cruz shoreline. Sophia was leading a gentle yoga class when she heard a small voice calling, "Mama! Mama!" She turned to see Alexander pushing the stroller, little Aurora seated beside him in a darling pastel hat. He waved, his face soft with hope. Sophia answered with a quiet nod, emotion surging through her. Perhaps today marked an important turning point. Without a single word, they watched Aurora scamper across the grassy field in her pastel outfit. She plucked a purple petal from a blooming bloom and offered it to her mother, then turned to beam at Daddy. Alexander bent low, brushing a stray lock of hair from her forehead with tender regret in his eyes. Sophia stood to one side, her heart falling still. They exchanged no talk of the painful past, no lengthy explanations, just that perfect instant. Aurora's pure laughter, a soothing melody that eased the ache of old wounds. When Aurora suddenly ran into Sophia's arms, wrapping her tiny arms around her mother's legs and exclaiming, "Mama, I love you." Sophia smiled, her eyes glistening with joy. She glanced at Alexander, finding him silently standing behind her, his hand pressed over his chest as if cradling his remorse. In that fleeting moment, she realized forgiveness was not for him but for herself, to free her own heart from the burden of bitterness. Forgiveness became the key out of the darkness, ushering her into a new dawn in which her daughter would grow up surrounded by complete love. Sophia stepped forward and placed her hand gently on Alexander's shoulder, her gaze both tender and resolute. She whispered, "We have lost much, but we still have Aurora or Dawn. Let us nurture her together, in the very best way." Alexander nodded softly, a wistful but hopeful smile blossoming on his lips. Watching their daughter run and laugh without a care, Sophia felt a surge of happiness warming her chest. True joy lies not in titles or grand promises, but in the courageous choice to love freely and to pursue one's deepest convictions. She vowed to herself, "I will be a role model for my child," showing her that no matter how fierce the storm, dawn always comes for those who never cease to hope. What do you think of Sophia's journey? Does she deserve our admiration for choosing divorce and believing in herself? If you agree, comment 1. If you believe Alexander merits another chance to prove himself as a father, comment 2. Share your thoughts and follow us for more inspiring stories.